Live. Hello, Mr. Briggs. Hello, everybody joining us today. If you are joining us, please comment in on the post or on the page, wherever that is. Hopefully we can see it. Sometimes I know the StreamYard allows us to see the comments and the questions and stuff you guys put up. I'm hoping that's the case today as well, because then we can answer questions and obviously have a bit of a chat as well from what you're saying. So I hope today's session is going to be really insightful. Financial wellbeing, I think, is obviously a new and very important topic. I wouldn't say new topic, but an area where people are being more woken up to the importance of it. But as I said, today's session is focused towards, it's focused towards financial wellbeing with Ryan Briggs, the founder of FinWell. But before we get into that, before I get Ryan to introduce himself, I just want to talk about some of the reasons why we're having this conversation, I guess. So some of the statistics we've got before we start are money worries are the biggest cause of stress in the UK. Financial situation / stress is one of the biggest risk factors behind suicide. I think that's even more prominent in males 40 to 50. And then 39% of adults don't feel confident in managing money. And I think that adds up to about 20.3 million people in the UK don't feel confident in managing money. So obviously you can see that importance. And this is why we're having a chat with Ryan, but this is why financial wellbeing is so important, not only within the workplace, but also as if for individuals to learn more about how they can manage their own money and have some best practices. So I'll quickly introduce myself, because I know Ryan's got a lot of friends and people which maybe I haven't met before here. My name's Richard Turner. I'm the founder of Employees Health. Employees Health is a workplace wellbeing company designed to support businesses and HR directors create wellbeing strategies and implement those wellbeing strategies into our workplace. We also help educate employees in how to create better lifestyles, which both improve their health and wellbeing, but also hopefully take them into a thriving position where they're performing at their best. So that's kind of what we do. I work with 7 associates with a few partners here and there to really help cover all areas of wellbeing, allowing us to create that strategy and implement the whole lot. And this is where Ryan comes in, and with a couple of other financial wellbeing partners, as well as mental health, physical health, and other areas like that. So stop me blabbering on. I'm going to introduce Ryan. Ryan, hello. Thank you for joining me today. How you doing?
I'm good. Hello. Thank you. LinkedIn Live. This is cool, right?
Yeah, this is your first one, right?
It is. I better not mess it up. No swearing.
Yeah, I better say, yeah. You were worried about the swearing. No, I don't think I've ever heard you swear, so I think we're all right.
We'll be okay, yeah.
Ryan, can you see the comments in the group on the page?
Yeah, I can see the comments. Yeah,
Wicked.
Hello, everyone.
Yeah, wicked. We got a fair few people here. Hi, Sarah. Hi, Lucy. Hi, Anne-Marie. Hi, Rob. Rob's come to most of them, actually. Hi, Nuz. Oh, and Simon. We'll try, and if you've got any questions or anything you'd like me to ask Ryan, put them in the chat. He'll see that, and obviously I'll see it as well. Hi, Julia. So, Ryan, before we get started, it'd be really good to hear in your own words who you are, what you do. We'll start with that to start with, and I'll dive a bit deeper into that.
Okay. Well, I'm Ryan. So I'm passionate about financial well-being, really, and what does that mean? I think it's changed over time and has become quite a big thing. Background was sport, as you can see behind me. Quite heavily interested in sport and played sport. Was lucky enough to play professional football for a short amount of time. And then that didn't quite work out, didn't have the career I perhaps dreamed of. And then did various roles, recruitment, very much was into recruitment for a good 10 years. So learned a lot there. And then got into financial services, qualified as a level 4 diploma qualified advisor in 2013. And then I've worked in financial services kind of ever since, really. And I think it's a changing industry. I think access to financial advice And the other areas, the steps perhaps before that, are becoming really, really important. Access to education, to guidance, and then to potentially advice is a journey that people are perhaps on. And I think there's a massive job to be done to raise awareness of all of those areas and the differences between them, especially now, especially with what's gone on in the last couple of years and what's going to happen in the next couple of years within the world, and the challenges we're gonna be facing. So I'm mega kind of passionate about that area. Hopefully know a few things about it, and I'm surrounded by more and more passionate people that are kind of joining our team and our communities that we're all part of. So it's exciting times. It's going to be challenging, but we've got to look at the positives. I think there's some positives to come out of it anyway.
Yeah. Do you see the financial kind of space, kind of, as you said, moving from kind of investments advice into this financial well-being piece as well, and to kind of begin to change that title into that? Or is that maybe a little bit forward thinking by me?
No, yeah, I think that there's going to be a lot of financial advice firms, and financial planning firms, wealth management firms, even banks, financial providers that are understanding what financial well-being is and what it isn't, and that it's not just having money or not having money, right? There's a lot more to it. It can go quite deep, and some are kind of embracing that and doing some really good things. Others aren't, and a little bit further behind, which is fine. But I think that it is a chance to sort of understand the differences, especially for employers, to really get a handle on what they can give their people, their teams access to, and how important that is, how vital that is, how intrinsically linked that is to mental well-being, mental health, and the other areas of well-being. So it's encouraging. I mean, I've been doing this for a long while, for probably over 6 years, with a bit of a focus on, it wasn't so much financial well-being, it was more financial education in the workplace. But again, because of what's happened and the light that's been shined upon well-being in general, I'm encouraged and enthused that companies are starting to recognise the importance of it.
Yeah, wicked. So Ryan, there's probably two questions or two bits I want to talk about. And obviously we know each other. We met each other, 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago.
Lockdown relationship, isn't it? Lockdown relationship.
And also you only live like a stone throw away from me. And you played for my favourite team, and also a fellow fan of the West Ham. So yeah, we obviously built that friendship quite quickly. But obviously, we met through Let's Improve Workplace Wellbeing, a community you and Nuz and a few others set up, obviously mainly kind of spearheaded by you and Nuz. Could you give me a bit of background into that before we go into your new venture?
Yeah, sure. So for those who don't know Let's Improve Workplace Wellbeing, or don't know the backstory for it, I suppose. Lockdown 1, March 2020. My role has always been out and about and building relationships and meeting people and trying to see how we can help each other, that sort of thing. So being restrained to home was quite tough for me, especially work-wise, right? Because I couldn't do my job effectively. So I was left with two things that kind of saved me: LinkedIn, which obviously we're on. Big up LinkedIn, and Zoom, which we didn't know what that was about really, but it was this online thing we was going to have to use. And I had already was about to launch kind of our financial wellbeing program for Onsky Wealth Management, which I was working with. Although that was meant to be face to face, and it couldn't be face to face because of obvious reasons. So we had to take that online. And I was just starting to speak to lots of HR managers, and there wasn't so many well-being leads or whatever then. It was more just HR managers, and was being told of the challenges that they were facing, what with everything that was going on, plus now that they had to look at the well-being of all of their staff, furlough, whether there was going to be a company, going forward. And we just realised that there was a need for employers locally, just where we live, Rich, just sort of in Kent to start with, to be able to come together and talk to each other and share best practice and share challenges and potential solutions, what's worked for them to get through it. That was it. I knew that my area being financial well-being, possibly I could offer some value when the time was right for that. but it was really looking at all areas of wellbeing. And again, there were some really good companies out there, providers that were doing some really fantastic things. But it was quite hard, we found, for companies to have a handle on all areas of wellbeing and to try and bring it all together. Mm-hmm. So that's what we did. I kind of put my recruitment hat back on and spent quite a lot of time sort of trying to find good people on LinkedIn that had good experience or was referred to me or I was already connected with. And we started to grow it, and we invited a few employers along to an event. And Debbie Bullock, shout out to Debbie from Aviva, was kind enough to give up her time and do a bit of a talk because she's one of those that maybe are a little bit more advanced than some on wellbeing. And it grew from there. We started to do monthly events and looked at various topics. Nuz, the wonderful Nuz, got involved from then, and it just took on a life of its own, really. You know, I think people just gravitated towards it, that was passionate about well-being, wanted to connect with other employers. And now we are where we are today. It's quite a story, really.
So where are we today, Ryan? Do you know how many members, how many ambassadors, how many kind of collaborative partners you've got?
Yeah, so it's grown to, I don't know the exact number, if I'm perfectly honest, my bad, but it's about 140 something, so let's call it 150 for round numbers, members approaching 150. And those members are not just HR managers, it's really anyone that's tasked with improving well-being internally for their company. So they will have similar challenges to others at other companies, whether it's similar sector or not. So a good sort of starting foundation of members. There's over 20 brilliant people in the leadership team that help drive it and bring their own experiences and come up with ideas and support different things that we're trying to do. It's now become an official not-for-profit community interest company, CIC. And we've also had lots of feedback from the members as to how to take it forward, how to keep it sustainable, how to possibly generate funding, how to add value to the members and really move the dial, I suppose. So it's various things that we've done, we was requested to do and have done now. So sector-specific communities has been quite a big thing. So we looked at the membership and there was a lot of councils for whatever reason. So we decided to maybe set up a sector-specific community for councils and public sector organisations. Thought that it'd be a good idea to partner with a membership organisation within that area. So, you know, fantastic to partner up with the PPMA, Leatham, who was absolutely brilliant and instrumental in making that happen, who's now at Oracle. And then things went from there. We kind of just replicated it. We wanted sort of employers to lead these groups rather than us or providers. So Sabrina from Essex County Council and Liz, who was then at Surrey Council, started to lead them and lead them in the way that they saw value in, I think is the difference. And then we replicated that with recruitment, with Hannah from Hayes and Nora from Randstad. We're looking at retail with Nick from John Lewis and many, many more, you can imagine. So we're doing that. And really, I suppose we're being told by HR managers, wellbeing leads at various organisations of different sizes across the UK. That's really important. What it is that they think will help their own organisation and industries as a whole.
Yeah.
So it's moved on quite a lot, but only because of the great people that are doing it.
Yeah, it definitely has. It's a really great place as well to just be a part of a community which wants to learn and care about employees, I guess.
Yeah, definitely.
So let's get back onto the financial well-being. You set up FinWell a month ago?
Something like that. Yeah.
Maybe a month ago. Maybe not. Maybe I'm getting a bit carried away myself. It's very new. It's very exciting.
It feels like years.
It's been in the process. I know it's been there for a while. Give me a bit more information about it. I know it, but tell everybody else.
So again, this is something that's kind of been created sort of naturally. There was no plan. There was no vision, massive vision that I wanted to do this. It's just happened organically. So as I said, we was looking to launch our financial wellbeing program with my previous firm, and we did that, but then was a bit scuppered because of COVID and limited to online, where I always knew and had experience with the impact it could have if it was face-to-face, the majority of it. But we carried on doing online sessions and doing what we could for our contacts and companies that we knew throughout the last 2 years. And the feedback was always good. We learned a lot of lessons. We probably made most mistakes that you could make with Zoom and everything else. Blimey, if I think back of some of the first sessions we did, I cringe now, but we learned a lot of lessons and got feedback, always wanted to get feedback as to what could make these sessions better, how could we improve things. I was in a really fortunate position with Let's Improve Workplace Wellbeing, because I then set up something called Money Matters Made Simple, where we focused on financial wellbeing. And again, I was just like a sponge from all the HR managers and wellbeing leads as what they was doing, what was working, what wasn't. So then just created a company and a service that could offer what was needed, I suppose. We then was invited back to a lot of the companies, you know, whether it was Pension Awareness Week or Mental Health Awareness Week or whatever the kind of month was. We was invited back to do different talks, and we would always do whatever we could. And then very strangely, I've never had this in my life really. Companies this year kind of started to say, look, we really want more and we want to pay for it. And that was strange. I've never had that. So I was like, okay, that's great. So that, you know, we started to do that with my previous company, but then it was the demand was starting to get quite high. So we decided that the best thing to do was for me to have a separate company that offered financial wellbeing services, and Ronsky Wealth Management would still be a provider of advice and a fantastic one at that. So that's where we are. It's still a bit overwhelming, to be honest, but there's again a great team that we're building that will hopefully take it forward and make a real impact.
Yeah, I know one of them's watching, isn't she, Lucy?
Yeah, there's a few on there. Shout out to Lucy and Mark and a few other people.
Yeah, wicked. It sounds like a great company. And obviously it's one of the companies which we work quite closely together, and we're always talking about how we can support and do these different bits and pieces. But so let's kind of move on to the next kind of question I have for you. Why is financial well-being in your eyes so important? Let's look at it as a whole piece, and then I'll dig down into kind of how it's important in the workplace.
Why is it so important? Well, obviously now, if we look at it now, there's a lot going on. You know, we've been through what we've been through. Don't need to harp on about that. So there's been challenges, whether they be mental, financial, it's all linked, as I've said before. That's the first thing, I suppose, to make sure everybody's clear on, is that all areas of wellbeing are intrinsically linked. Massively, financial and mental wellbeing are massively linked. It's a massive driver for mental wellbeing. So what we've been through, it is just, you know, created even more problems. What we're going into with you know, economic crisis, cost of living, inflation, things like that, has probably exasperated it a bit more. But even if all of this stuff wasn't going on, it was still massively needed anyway. You know, as I said, I started to get involved with financial education and going into companies and recognizing the need over 6 years ago. And that was when I got involved. People have been doing it for longer than that. Some companies have been offering services for 10 years plus, because if you look at it, there's a massive need for financial education. If we go back to that, you don't learn the basics at school. We didn't. You know, it's really encouraging that they are now. There's lots of really good providers. Red Star, Educate, one that I know of, and the Money Charity, and different organisations that are doing really good things for schools now. So hopefully the next generation are going to learn from our mistakes and be better equipped. But that still leaves a whole generation that are in the workplace now that didn't really learn the basics. So yeah, I always see it as an opportunity for employers. Maybe there's a bit more of a responsibility now that they've got, and they're going to have to address it, you know, if they want to stay relevant and continue looking for recruitment and retaining talent, and just for doing the right thing as well, and commercially it making sense, that they address financial well-being, I suppose. But
I think probably some people listening to this, we say financial well-being and we talk about recruitment, we talk about retention, we talk about kind of that being happy at work. And financial well-being doesn't mean you get paid more, right? So financial well-being is understanding how to look after your money and how to prepare yourself for the future, right?
Yeah. So it's from a company's point of view, paying fairly is definitely part of it, and looking at the gender pay gap and all sorts of issues like that is definitely part of it. From an individual's point of view, it's not just having more money, and I suppose my background's given me an opportunity to understand that a bit more, maybe the most perhaps, where I've worked or had experiences within professional sport, worked in financial services, and had access or exposure to people on all different levels of income, whether they're professional sports people or successful business people or whatever. And I know firsthand and through personal experience that just having more money doesn't always mean that you're going to, well, it definitely doesn't mean that your financial well-being is necessarily going to be higher. It can possibly just create even more problems. So it's definitely not just having more money. It's definitely not how much you earn or what you've got in the bank or what car you drive or what holidays you go on or what your Instagram profile looks like. It really is. It is a feeling and a feeling of control. There's some really good quotes from Money and Pension Service and from some of the big providers that it's kind of, feeling on top of your finances. It doesn't mean that you're going to be a millionaire even. It's just having that peace of mind that you're on track. You kind of got a handle on things. You can live your life. You can enjoy your life, because life's short, and you're on top of it. And there's various different aspects. There's kind of 4 key pillars to it. So the basics are, first of all, your relationship with money. So really having some reflection on, what your relationship and how healthy or unhealthy that is. And that really gets quite psychological, to your childhood, because that's ingrained by the age we're 7, believe it or not. So that's a key part of it. Your emotional attachment to money or relationship with money. Your ability just to pay bills, quite black and white. Can you get through the month, which is going to be a challenge for a lot of people with what's going on at the moment. Your financial resilience, so actually having some money behind you to sort of withstand a financial shock or an unexpected bill or something like that. And then the big one that when we work with people is kind of always a low score is future plans. So actually having a plan for the future, understanding the numbers, whether it's pensions, investments, whatever it might be, but feeling on top of what you need to do to achieve the future lifestyle that you desire, I suppose.
No, I think that's obviously, there's so much to take in there. I think you've got the 4 pillars that are quite good to understand in general.
Yeah. So that again, it's sort of from Money and Pension Service, and it gives a really good structure. And this is what we at FinWell have kind of embraced and have designed as part of our scoring sort of mechanism for people to score themselves on, really. And so that's a good starting point to have a bit of a benchmark of your score. So you can look at, as I'll just go over it again, your relationship with money. So how you would score yourself out of 10 with regards to your relationship with money. It might need a bit more explaining. That's what we do in the sessions, but you can score yourself out of 10 on that. Your ability to pay the bills on a monthly basis. So, for some people, that's not a problem. All the direct debits are set up and it's always covered. We'd always like a bit more money, obviously, at the end of the month, but some people can get through the month easier than others. What was the next one? Financial resilience, huge area. So I think it's 1 in 5. We posted something recently that have less than £100, in savings to their name. So typically what would happen is they do get an unexpected bill, or there's a bit of an emergency that happens, and to sort that out, they have to go into debt or borrow money from friends or family or whatever. So that can start a downward spiral. So having access to emergency funds and building up some savings is critical. And then, as I say, just planning for the future, just understand. That's maybe where advice comes in a little bit more, but it's just having a knowledge of what options are available, how to make the most of your money, tax allowances, all the basics, all the opportunities that we all have but aren't told about, really.
You don't know. As you said, it comes back to that not being taught it from a young age.
Yeah, and it's not just finances, is it? Sorry,
no,
Rich.
No, it really isn't just finances. But I'm just thinking about it's not because we didn't learn it at school. Our parents didn't learn it at school. So parents are teaching us what they've learned, and sometimes that's not great either. And it's the same as all of it, right? It's the same as nutrition. It's the same as kind of activity and these other elements of well-being that maybe didn't get taught to the generation which are in the workplace right now, right? I think there is more education now within schools within well-being as a whole, and I think financial well-being is part of that now, which is great to see, because it's probably one of the biggest reasons I kind of stress, I guess, especially when it gets to the end of the month. But we all have that, Ryan. So understanding all of those 4 areas and having a plan to get through those and being educated in what's the best process, then it's only going to benefit employees and employers then ultimately.
Yeah, that's what we've tried to do. The challenge that I found when we were starting to work with companies is that we had to come up with something that was inclusive and relevant to every member of staff. So that's going to cover a lot, right? That's going to, that needs to be everything to everyone. So rather than coming up with that, we try to design this 4-step process, like we talk about, the financial power, the PAWA, and I genuinely believe in the kind of philosophy of FinWell is that anybody can improve their financial well-being, regardless of their age, their income level, their family situation, their job role, their levels of experience. They really can. By starting off with this 4-step process, they can at least be on track. And whether that then goes down the road of just getting access to further education and content and improving their knowledge and understanding and confidence, or whether it goes on to looking at having some interaction with another human being through what our financial guidance sessions are, or other companies that are doing great things, offering sort of financial coaching possibly, or advice. We're all on this journey, and I think that's the important thing we try and do, is establish where people are at, or help them understand that for themselves, and then empower them to take the next steps and to break it down as well. Because I think a big problem that we all have is there's just so much to think about and worry about, in life in general, let alone our finances. It can just get really overwhelming, and there's so much information out there. God forbid you start Googling all of this stuff. It's like the same with health, right? If you've got a problem with your health, you shouldn't probably Google it. Same with finances. You should probably try and find some really good resources and stick to those. And that's what we've tried to do, is bring a lot of the best providers together. And that's what FinWell's trying to do, bring all the best people together and best resources, and make that available to people, and then give them that 4-step plan to empower them to do it themselves.
Yeah, I think you've got kind of on the head. It's empowering people, and giving them the tools to go and make that change. And it's the same as all of it, right? And I think with financial well-being as well, in general, it's quite daunting. Like, I look at financial well-being, when you look at banks and you look at all the options you can do, there is so many. And so what I like about what I know FinWell does is it does that one-to-one support on the back end as well. So being able to provide the education, and then actually maybe even if you need to, take them through that process and take them through a step-to-step, just to really get them on the start, or even on the journey of making those initial changes.
Yeah, definitely. As I say, it's been carefully thought about, hopefully, and designed, and we've launched it and piloted it with different organisations, and the feedback's been good. So it's been an evolving process. So we've learned along the way about what people need, really. And again, don't get me wrong, we speak to people and they're on the scale. We're all on a scale, whether it's our mental health and well-being, our financial, physical or social. And some people are actually at a crisis point. And again, we speak to people that are, and at least we can recognise that and signpost them to some of the again, fantastic resources that are out there that are available that are free that people just don't know about. And what we first got to know the team down at Step Change and did a session with them. That was part of the Money Matters Made Simple events. And I'm flabbergasted by just how many people have never heard of Step Change. I'm not sure how many people that are listening to this have. I'm sure hopefully a few of them have, because they've been on sessions that we've done. But there is some really good support there that companies just need to signpost their people to. Obviously, no one's going to put their hand up and probably attend a debt problem session or workshop, but that's fine. Making the information available doesn't cost anything. It's quite an easy exercise, and we try and build that into sort of clients and companies' plans as well, because there's so much you can do for free. Companies can do a huge amount for free that can make a really big impact. It's just knowing the companies that are out there and the services that are available as a starting point, I suppose.
Yeah, and I think you got bang on, right? There is so much out there which companies can do, individuals can take advantage of for free. It's just knowing how and what to do, I guess.
Yeah. But there's more companies like FinWell and others that are doing a really good job now. So again, hopefully in 6 months, a year, we'll be seeing much more. We're seeing it already. Lots of companies are partnering up with different providers and offering services, giving access to their people. So it's refreshing to see.
Yeah, wicked. Sarah Russell's left a question, and I think she's run now. She's left, but Sarah, I promise I was going to ask this question. I just wanted to get the timing right. She has a question. Her question is: what's the best way you can find out if financial concerns are a problem within your workforce, especially if there's a stigma around talking about mental health or personal worries at work?
Is that me?
Yeah, that's your days. Dan, this is all for you, Ryan.
It's all for me. Yeah, ask them. Yeah. There's some easy ways, surveys, pulse surveys, different ways to engage with your teams to find out in confidence, if needed, to be anonymously, what their situation is, whether it's a scoring mechanism or just asking for feedback, maybe having some round tables, or if you've got wellbeing champions, getting them involved on a local level and finding out what the needs are. I always think that, for leadership and management to take the first step and to talk and be open. I try and be quite open with my own situation financially, because I think that it helps, and we're all going through different challenges at different times, and your financial health and well-being is definitely, again, not a straight line, the same as your mental health and well-being. And again, these are always why there's the links with the various aspects of it. But you're going to have times when it's great, you're going to have times when it's not so good. We've got 2 young children at the moment, and I don't know where money goes. I'm sure they eat it, like most things. It's just, you got to appreciate the roller coaster. I know it's a bit cheesy, but the journey that, when you're on the way up, there's going to be a bit of a down, and vice versa. But yeah, sorry to answer the question, Sarah, if you've run, this, but yeah, surveying, asking the questions, so important, rather than just coming up with initiatives or putting it out there. Ask people what they want and then give it to them. It seems common sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, to me and you, maybe. I think it's quite easy. It doesn't have to just be within the financial concerns. You can run wellbeing surveys, which include financial concerns in there, right? Do you feel happy with your situation? And those kind of will give you that first kind of heads up, and then you can dive deeper if you need to. I know why Sarah's asking this, because she's a data geek, and she will use that as her own terms, working for a data company that you can find. There are plenty of survey companies out there which can support you with this as well, and Wellbeing Carey being one from where Sarah works, and the wonderful Maria. But there are other surveys you can use to kind of get a grasp on where your people are, both on a financial level, on a health level, and mental health level, also kind of from a work environment level and a cultural level as well. So I would definitely, it's kind of the start point, isn't it? Figure out what the needs are, then go from there.
Yeah, data's massively important, and measurement and measuring impact is massively important. We've tried to embrace that as well, the scoring systems and everything else. And I talk quite a lot about two forms of measurement, being stats and stories. I talk about this quite a lot. So we're really hot on, getting the stats, over, lots of people, hopefully, and over time, and then identifying where the improvements can be made and what to focus on, but also then revisiting the stats and seeing where we've made improvements, and that can help with return on investment and justifying it to the finance teams possibly, but also the stories. The stories are so important. Just the general feedback. Why has this helped people? I'll tell you an example. I won't go into too much detail, but recently we did some sessions with some of the companies we're working with, and someone came forward with quite a sad situation, really, where the parents were in ill health, and it was sort of terminal. And that then meant that there was actually going to be an inheritance. Great. But this person was in absolutely no state to even deal with what was going on, let alone thinking about what possible solutions there might be to this inheritance, opportunity, but also challenge with regards to tax and all sorts of things. And, so we had a session to start with, and then we introduced her to the right people, and that was quite an emotional session as well. And now there's been some work been done, and some solutions and real support there as well. And I think that I know for definite, the feedback we had, that definitely wouldn't have happened if it was left to her own devices. The fact that her employer put this in place, we then did that session, and then she went through the journey to know the options and who could help. It just wouldn't have happened. She wouldn't have picked up the phone. She told me this, that she wouldn't have picked up the phone and booked a session with a financial advisor. It just wouldn't have happened. So kudos to the company for making this available, and that's just one. But it's really important for us to gather those stories and feed them back anonymously, obviously, to the employers, to see the impact that this can have. It's vital, really.
Yeah, and I think you would hit a nerve there with me, I guess, is like before my time within Employees Health, I was working as a personal trainer in a company, and I think all of that would have just gone over my head. I don't think I would have known that I could have reached out to a financial advisor. I don't think I could have known I could have reached out to a mental health specialist or somebody which could have talked me through, a counsellor or something like that. You don't think about it all the time. It's not there, or it's not being communicated. So as you said earlier on, it's the stories, it's the promotion of what's going on, because then that it's just that reminder.
Yeah, definitely.
So 2 more questions for you, Ryan. First one, what can a company do? What's probably the most important thing a company can do when looking at financial wellbeing?
Oh, blimey. The most important thing, I always think, before getting someone like us in or talking to us or providers, is just looking at what you've already got, reviewing what's already in place with regards to employee benefits, what's already there, and maximizing providers that you already have, right? So we talk about this quite a lot with pension providers, auto enrollment and everything else. Make them work for their money a little bit. There's a lot more that they can do that they probably don't want to do, but that they should, to engage with your people and interact and educate, hopefully. That's a good starting point. Like we talked about data and surveying and asking what people want. That's probably the next step, and seeing what the appetite is for different things. And then pilot things, trial things. Don't agree or commit to a huge investment for a product or something that you're going to roll out to everyone and think it's going to be brilliant. And just start small, but just find out what's needed and what's wanted, and then start to trial things, find out what works, and then possibly look to roll it out. and continuously review it because you need that continual feedback, the stats and the stories to see what's working, because needs will always change.
You kind of answered my next question, which was going to be the very first thing you can do. And I think you just kind of answered that in the first section. So my next question then will be, what's been your biggest challenge? And I think you said earlier on about being able to supply for everybody, but what, apart from that, then is your biggest challenge in both, probably within FinWell and supporting wellbeing in general?
A few of the challenges were trying to make it holistic and inclusive and something for everyone. What I'd seen in the past was lots of workshops where companies have gone in and done talks on pensions. Great, but that really wasn't going to fit in the modern ways of working, because pensions are vitally important, and understanding about not just pensions but future income planning is really important. But an employer's demographics of their people is going to be people of all different ages, and they'll have other things that are needed to be focused on, right? So just general money management, budgeting, getting onto the property ladder, protecting what's important financially. All of these areas are just as important. So coming up with a way that we could work with people to, as I say, get them on the right track was a challenge. For me, a big challenge, getting used to Zoom and how we could engage, make financial services, financial planning, money matters interesting, engaging, something that people would want to attend, let's be honest. So we try to come up with different ways to think about things, whether it's compounding or the way money works, all that sort of stuff. That was quite a challenge, but we also, some of the first sessions we were so passionate about giving so much value, right? Giving, really teaching what we knew, because we was passionate about it, that it just was so much, it was too much. And a shout out to Ash Day from Life, and congratulations, by the way. He gave us some great feedback on just less is more, stripping away, having a few key points on these sessions. So that was a challenge. And the challenge now, which is a good challenge to have, is now scaling it, because some of the companies we work with and we're working with going forward have got various offices around the country and even overseas, and we're looking at ways of scaling that. And we've got a few ideas, but that'll be the next challenge, I think, is keeping the standards up and keeping it consistent, keeping the messaging clear and impactful. But scaling it up and growing it, I suppose, will be a bit of a challenge.
Yeah, and I think for business in general, right? It is that, isn't it? So we're about the 45-minute mark, which is normally where I'd like to try and get things done by. I suppose the next important question is, where can people find you?
Where can they find me? Well, the website's there now, so finwell.uk. LinkedIn, I'm on that quite a bit. You might see me on there quite a lot, so feel free to connect. Happy, send a message, email ryan@finwell.uk. But get in touch. Any questions, more than happy to explore ideas, opportunities, whether it's with employers or employee benefits companies, wellbeing companies, whatever. If we can try and work together and make an impact, that's what we're all about.
Brilliant. And if you do, and if you're a part of my network and you want to speak with Ryan, just give me a shout as well. And if you want to get involved with the Let's Improve Workplace Wellbeing, that's at www.let'simproveworkplacewellbeing.org.
It's a bit of a mouthful. Let's improve workplacewellbeing.org. We probably should have thought about that title before.
So if you want to go, or you can find it on LinkedIn. I think it's hashtag Let's Improve Workplace Wellbeing, isn't it?
There's a page on. You can just search it, and there's a page and everything else. Or go to the website.
You have to put the apostrophe, because when I try tagging you beforehand, it doesn't work otherwise.
I think we changed that because that was causing a real problem, and people couldn't tag it or couldn't whatever. And then I think we changed the name of it back, so there's no apostrophe now. But type in let, LET, and then it should come up.
Yeah, wicked. Is there anything you want to mention or say before we close this down?
No, just thank you to you, really, Rich. You've been, I think this is great what you're doing, and I know the services that you offer. So keep on keeping on with that. A big thanks. Some of the names I've seen that have sort of tuned in and listened to us babble on for a little bit. There's a massive thank you to a lot of them, because the support that they give via Let's Improve Workplace Wellbeing and the other things we're all involved with has been brilliant. It's been quite humbling, really. You know, I never planned to set FinWell up as a company, never particularly wanted to be self-employed or run this, but the feedback's been brilliant and support's been brilliant. And if I can help in any way, then just get in touch.
Yeah, I think you've done a great job as well. And say thank you for you for being a friend and a support as well for the last kind of 2.5 years as well. But yeah, I hope everybody's enjoyed that. Hopefully you've got some tips and bits and pieces you can kind of action from our little chat and our discussion about kind of financial well-being. Over the next kind of couple of months, I'm trying to up this a little bit for July and August. As if you work in the corporate world, you know it gets quite quiet. So I will try and do a few more well-being chats just to bring a few more people to the limelight to just share their stories. So I don't know who the next one is yet. I've got a few people in mind, and Hayley Farrell, if you're still here, you are definitely one of them.
Get Hayley on.
Yeah, definitely get Hayley on. There she is. She is listening. She's commented. So yeah, guys, have a lovely rest of the week. Enjoy the sunshine. And Ryan, we will catch up soon.
Brilliant. Thanks all. Cheers, Rich. Speak soon. Bye-bye.